Welcome to IMRAN STAR Video, or as we call it, ISVi, the collaborative lens on Vancouver, unfiltered, unscripted, and powered by community. We're not just a voice behind the mic, we're a collective of creators, thinkers, storytellers, and city lovers coming together to spotlight the people, places, and energy that make Vancouver what it is. From coast mountain skylines to neon-lit backstreets, we're covering everything from downtown buzz to the untold stories shaping our scene. You'll find us exclusively on YouTube. No algorithms, no filters, just real talk. For behind the scenes, updates, and chaotic brilliance in real time, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. So hit subscribe, drop a comment, and help us grow from 100 to 10,000 and beyond. Because this isn't just our platform, it's yours too. Let's get one thing straight. In Vancouver, seafood isn't just dinner, it's an identity. In a city where your personality is defined by whether you brunch in Kits or bike in Stanley Park, seafood is that one unifying thread tying everyone together. Whether you're inhaling a spicy tuna roll on Commercial Drive, grilling sockeye at your cousin's cabin, or casually name-dropping your favorite sushi chef like a coastal celebrity, you're part of the ocean-to-plate pipeline. Vancouverites don't just eat seafood, we have relationships with it. Salmon is basically our city's unofficial mascot, Canucks. And sushi? That's not just a cuisine, it's a lifestyle. Entire friend groups here have formed around arguing whether aburi is overrated, and if you've never had an awkward date over a shared dynamite roll, do you even live here? But here's the catch, pun aggressively intended, with great seafood comes great responsibility. Climate change, overfishing, and shady sourcing practices are turning our oceans into a cautionary tale faster than you can say miso-glazed black cod. That beautifully plated nigiri, it has a backstory, and sometimes it's more dramatic than your last situationship. So this isn't just a love letter to sushi and salmon, though yes, we will absolutely romanticize a perfectly seared scallop later. This is about sustainability, culture, and knowing where your fish came from. Because food this iconic deserves to be more than just an aesthetic post on your IG story. In this seafood saga, we're diving deep from traditional Indigenous fishing practices to the eco labels on your sashimi platter. We'll explore sushi trends, salmon politics, and how to flex your palate and your principles at the same time. Because in a city built by the sea, what we eat from the ocean reflects who we are and who we want to be. Before Vancouver became the land of $8 lattes, kombucha bars, and waterfront condos with more glass than your mental stability during exam season, it was, and still is, unceded Indigenous territory with a rich, deeply rooted seafood culture. Long before sustainable became a buzzword and sushi became a lifestyle flex, the First Nations peoples of this region were already living in perfect sync with the land and sea, fishing, preserving, and respecting salmon like the VIPs of the ecosystem that they are. Salmon wasn't just dinner. It was sacred, symbolic, and central to community survival and ceremony. It had plot, character, and main character energy before that was even a thing. With weirs, traps, smokehouses, and traditions passed down over millennia, Indigenous communities fished with a balance modern commercial industries still haven't figured out. Looking at you, overfishing vessels the size of a Costco. As colonizers rolled in with their top hats, bad vibes, and zero understanding of sustainable ecosystems, things took a nosedive. Settlers brought with them commercial fishing operations that treated the ocean like a never-ending buffet. Spoiler, it wasn't. As Vancouver grew from logging outpost to shiny seaport city, fishing shifted from tradition to transaction, and while it put the city on the map, it also put local fish populations under pressure. Fast forward to the 20th century, and you start seeing Vancouver's seafood scene glow up, with sushi leading the charge. Thanks to Japanese immigrants, who were sadly also subject to racist policies, displacement, and internment. Seriously, go read about it. Vancouver developed one of the most iconic sushi cultures outside of Japan. Now, you can't throw a chopstick in this city without hitting a sushi spot, from $5 takeout trays to multi-course omakase experiences that feel like a spiritual awakening. This deep history of reverence, disruption, resilience, and reinvention still informs how we fish, eat, and think about seafood today. It's why every salmon fillet, tuna roll, or grilled sablefish has a backstory longer than your just friends situationship. Vancouver's seafood scene didn't appear overnight. It swam through generations, survived colonization, and rolled right onto your plate with receipts. So the next time you're snapping a photo of your poke bowl or hyping up your favorite sushi spot, remember, you're eating a bite of history, and that fish has seen some things. Let's not be dramatic. Actually, scratch that. Let's be very dramatic, because salmon deserves it. In the seafood lineup of British Columbia, salmon isn't just the headliner, it's the main event, the cultural icon, the literal life source of ecosystems, economies, and entire identities. Beyoncé could never, but if she did, she'd be a sockeye. Out here on the Pacific Northwest coast, salmon isn't just something you throw on the grill at your cousin's summer BBQ, it's a sacred species. For Indigenous communities, salmon has always been more than food. It's ceremony, it's medicine, it's heritage. Salmon are central to stories, systems of knowledge, and seasonal rhythms that go back thousands of years. When salmon return to spawn, it's not just a natural event, it's a spiritual one. Think less fishing season, more ancestral Netflix reboot with full emotional impact. But of course, colonization did what it does best, disrupted everything. Rivers were dammed, ecosystems were bulldozed, and commercial industries came in like, let's take all of them. Today, wild salmon populations are struggling harder than your Wi-Fi during a Zoom exam thanks to overfishing, climate change, habitat loss, and here's the spicy one, fish farms. Yup, farmed versus wild salmon, the fish feud of our time. On one hand, farmed salmon keeps grocery stores stocked and prices relatively chill. On the other hand, some farms, especially open net ones, come with more red flags than a talking stage that starts with, "I'm not really looking for anything serious." We're talking parasite transfer, disease spread, water pollution, and escapees that mess with wild populations. It's giving chaos with scales. Meanwhile, wild salmon, fewer chemicals, better for the environment, and the literal backbone of BC's entire food chain. Bears eat them, forests grow because of them. People build traditions and economies around them. Basically, if salmon goes, the whole system goes with it, and no one's emotionally prepared for that. Despite it all, salmon continues to reign supreme on Vancouver plates. You'll find it seared, smoked, grilled, cured, candied, and served with a microgreen salad that costs as much as your monthly Spotify. It's as at home in a high-end tasting menu as it is in a backyard cedar plank moment. And yes, your dad will insist his is the best. To love seafood in BC is to know that salmon isn't just a menu item. It's a cultural legacy, an ecological keystone, and a political hot topic with fins. Whether you're eating it raw, roasted, or smoked with a side of family history, remember, salmon doesn't just feed us, it defines us. Let's get something straight. Vancouver takes sushi more seriously than your group chat takes astrology. This isn't just a Friday night dinner idea. It's a lifestyle, a ritual, a competitive sport, and in some cases, a legally binding friendship contract formed over shared spicy tuna rolls and wasabi tears. With one of the highest concentrations of sushi restaurants in North America, Vancouver is basically Canada's unofficial Tokyo West crossover episode. Want hand rolls in a tiny 6-seat omakase room? We got that. Need a 6-star dynamite combo from a takeout window that will emotionally support you during finals? Absolutely. Craving a vegan dragon roll made of eggplant, tofu, and dreams? There's probably 3 spots within walking distance. But how did we get here? Let's rewind. Japanese immigrants began arriving in British Columbia in the late 1800s, bringing not just culinary skills, but entire food philosophies rooted in respect, simplicity, and seasonal perfection. Despite historical injustices, including the government's internment of Japanese Canadians during Revolution, the community rebuilt and redefined what food could be in Vancouver. Sushi became not just a cultural export, but a local staple, elevated, adapted, and eventually everywhere. Now the sushi game here is thriving. There's a buri sushi, aka flame-seared brilliance, that turns a slab of raw fish into something that tastes like it's studied abroad in luxury. There's fusion sushi, where mango joins salmon, jalapenos crash the party, and sauces get more dramatic than a season finale. And let's not forget budget sushi, the unsung hero of broke student diets and late-night cravings. Because sometimes you just need a California roll that costs less than bus fare. Then there are the local legends. Places like Tojo's, where sushi master Hidekazu Tojo is credited with inventing the California roll. You're welcome, world. Or Miku and Minami, 2 sleek waterfront spots that made aburi sushi a full-blown flex. And for the deep-cut crowd, there are dozens of hidden gems where the chefs don't post on Instagram. They just serve magic. Vancouver's sushi scene also makes room for plant-based innovation, with spots like Tojo's offering veggie-forward options and fully vegan restaurants crafting sashimi out of tomatoes and sorcery. It's inclusive, delicious, and surprisingly affordable, unless you go full omakase, in which case, prepare your wallet and your soul. But no matter the price point or presentation, what makes Vancouver sushi special is the balance. Tradition meets innovation, flavor meets freshness, and every bite comes with just enough soy sauce-related chaos to keep you humble. So the next time you grab a roll, remember, you're not just eating sushi. You're participating in a deeply local love story with chopsticks and main character energy. Okay, let's pause the food romance for a second and talk about the elephant in the dining room, or rather, the disappearing fish in the ocean. Because while Vancouver's seafood scene is full of flavor, innovation, and sushi dreams, there's one reality we can't dodge. We've been treating the ocean like an all-you-can-eat buffet, and it's kind of over it. Overfishing, habitat destruction, plastic pollution, and climate change have all teamed up like the worst crossover event ever to turn our oceans into a cautionary tale. And yeah, that tuna sashimi you love, it's not exactly infinite. Many fish stocks are shrinking faster than your post-rent bank account, and some popular species, like bluefin tuna, are now basically the endangered celebrities of the seafood world. But don't toss your chopsticks in despair just yet. Enter the sustainable seafood revolution, aka the part of the story where the fish get plot protection. One of the MVPs here in Vancouver is the Ocean Wise program, founded by the Vancouver Aquarium, yes, the same place you went on your 3rd grade field trip. This handy little seafood certification helps restaurants, fish markets, and even grocery stores label ocean-friendly options so you know your dinner didn't come with an ecological guilt trip. Look for the ocean-wise symbol. It's like a blue check mark for ethically sourced fish. Restaurants are stepping up too. Spots like Blue Water Cafe and Fable Kitchen don't just plate beautiful dishes, they care where those scallops came from. Chefs are building relationships with sustainable fisheries, choosing species with healthy populations, and working with local producers to reduce carbon footprints. Spoiler: your food can look good and do good. We love a multitasking meal. And let's talk alternatives. Bycatch reduction, closed containment fish farming, and seasonal menus that adapt based on availability and migration patterns. Yes, that means sometimes your fave isn't on the menu, but hey, we've survived worse, like paper straws and group projects. Of course, being sustainable in a capitalist, fast food-fueled world isn't always easy. Not every place sources responsibly, and not every diner asks questions. But that's changing. Gen Z is out here demanding receipts, not just for the bill, but for the fish itself. Where was it caught? How was it handled? Did it vibe well with the ocean? We need answers. Because at the end of the day, sustainability isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about eating in a way that doesn't burn out the planet or the people who work in it. It's about preserving traditions, protecting ecosystems, and ensuring that future generations also get to fight over the last piece of salmon nigiri at the table. So yes, order that sushi, grill that halibut, but do it with your eyes open, your questions ready, and your eco-conscience activated. Because good seafood shouldn't just taste great, it should feel right too. Let's get one thing straight. Eating sustainably isn't just about choosing the fish with a cute little eco label or pretending farmed shrimp doesn't haunt your dreams. If we're going to talk about ethical seafood, we've got to talk about everything. From ocean ecosystems to human rights, from indigenous sovereignty to who's actually profiting off your poke bowl. First up, access and equity. While downtown foodies debate which sockeye was smoked better and post photo carousels captioned "Eat Local," many indigenous communities whose entire way of life is built on fishing rights are still fighting tooth and net for access to traditional harvests. Let's be real, the original stewards of this land were catching salmon centuries before. Organic became a marketing strategy, and yet, thanks to colonization, restrictive fishing policies, and environmental destruction, many First Nations communities face limited access to the very waters that sustained their ancestors. So while your cedar plank salmon might be served with microgreens and a truffle foam, don't forget that same fish could be tied to centuries of displacement, broken treaties, and ongoing land-back movements. Yes, that's your cue to care. Now let's talk labor. Behind that perfectly sliced sashimi is often an invisible workforce. Fishers, factory workers, and processors who may be dealing with dangerous conditions, low pay, and even exploitative or illegal practices. In some parts of the world, seafood supply chains are tangled up in modern slavery. Not so delicious now, right? This is why transparency matters. Because local and ethical isn't just about Instagram aesthetics. It's about dignity, fairness, and knowing your fish wasn't caught under duress. The good news? Change is happening. Organizations like Fishwise and Seafood Watch are working to shine a flashlight, a big, bright, accountability-filled one, on these issues, pushing for fairer practices across the board. Restaurants, too, are starting to walk the talk, not just with ocean-friendly sourcing, but with commitments to fair wages, community partnerships, and menus that reflect more than just foodie trends. And don't think you're powerless in this. You're not just a passive consumer, you're an active ingredient in this whole food system stew. When you choose where to spend your money, ask questions, or support businesses that prioritize people as much as plates, you're doing more than eating. You're participating in change, one ethically sourced bite at a time. So the next time you're choosing between wild halibut and shrimp tacos, pause and consider, what communities did this meal impact? What hands caught, cleaned, and carried it to my plate? And would this mahi-mahi be proud of my decisions? Because food isn't just flavor, it's politics, power, and people. And in Vancouver's seafood scene, it's time we care about the full story, not just the presentation. All right, now that we've collectively side-eyed the fishing industry, felt feelings about Indigenous rights, and sworn emotional allegiance to salmon, you're probably wondering, how do I eat seafood without selling my soul to big tuna? Don't worry, you don't need a marine biology degree or a sustainable seafood mood board. You just need a few tips, a little curiosity, and maybe a willingness to Google in public. Let's start with the first big move. Ask questions. Yes, we know. It can feel awkward to look your server dead in the eye and say, "Hey, is this halibut sustainably sourced or emotionally unavailable?" But trust us, asking where your seafood came from is a power move. Restaurants that care will have answers. Restaurants that squirm probably have something to hide, or they're panicking because you use the word bycatch correctly. Second, know your labels. Programs like OceanWise, born and raised right here in Vancouver, thank you very much, and Seafood Watch are basically the eco wingmen of your dining experience. If it's OceanWise approved, you're golden. It means that fish was harvested in a way that supports ocean health, fish population stability, and sustainable practices. It's like a verified badge for seafood that doesn't ghost the ecosystem. And guess what? There's an app for that. Seafood Watch has one. OceanWise has one. You can literally stand in the fish aisle at Whole Foods, scan your potential dinner, and know whether it's a hero or a villain in the climate storyline. It's seafood sleuthing for the modern era. Nancy Drew, but make it pescatarian. Next tip, switch it up. Everyone wants salmon, tuna, shrimp, the celebrity fish. But sometimes it's the B-list species that are just as tasty, more sustainable, and way less overfished. Ever tried mackerel, sardines, even mussels, and oysters are basically ocean cleaning, climate positive superstars. They're like the indie band of seafood, underrated, underordered, and way cooler when you discover them early. Also, shop local when you can. Farmers markets, fishmongers, and small vendors are more likely to know the fish's life story and possibly what it majored in. Bonus points if you bring your own container and leave the styrofoam sadness behind. And last but not least, don't fall for greenwashing. Just because a label says natural or fresh doesn't mean the fish came from an ethical source. Spoiler, wild caught doesn't always mean wildly sustainable. Learn the difference between buzzwords and meaningful certifications. Your eco-friendly brain cells deserve better. So yes, you can still enjoy your sushi nights, seafood boils, and Friday night poke runs. Just be the kind of eater who eats with intention. Ask the hard questions. Make the sustainable swap. Flex your knowledge like it's seaweed-wrapped wisdom. Because in 2025, being a seafood lover means being a smart one. And let's be honest, nothing tastes better than dinner that didn't destroy a coral reef. Let's face it, you've just gone on a full seafood journey. emotionally, ethically, and maybe even spiritually. From sacred salmon and sushi roll supremacy to eco-labels and fishy supply chains, you now know more about what's on your plate than most people know about their own phone settings. You're not just a seafood fan, you're a low-key activist with a side of wasabi. And here's the plot twist. You don't have to give up sushi to save the ocean. You don't need to live off seaweed and moral superiority unless that's your thing, no judgment. All you really need is awareness, intention, and a willingness to Google before you gobble. Eating smarter doesn't mean eating sad. It means eating better for your body, your community, and that tiny, stressed-out seahorse trying to survive climate change. Vancouver, in all its rain-soaked, avocado toast-infused glory, has the rare privilege of being a city where the seafood is fresh, the chefs are woke, and the ocean is literally down the street. We're in a prime position to lead the seafood revolution, not just with our mouths, but with our choices. And don't forget, seafood is culture, it's community, it's resistance, it's the history of this land and the future of what we leave behind. Every time you pick a restaurant, question a menu, or support sustainable practices, you're choosing the kind of food system you believe in, a system that values people, planet, and the salmon that deserves an honorary seat at every Vancouver City Council meeting. So go ahead, order the sashimi, grill the halibut, Instagram your poke bowl if you must, but do it like you mean it. Because eating seafood in this city isn't just a meal, it's a movement. And just like that, the city's pulse slows, but the story doesn't stop. You've been watching ISVi IMRAN STAR video, where voices come together and the city speaks back. We're a crew, not a single face, a movement, not a moment, and every episode that's built with you, for you, by all of us. From the seawall to the skyline, from underground voices to rooftop vibes, we're telling the stories that don't make the news, but make the neighborhood. If this episode hit, pass it on. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Drop a comment and tell us what your Vancouver sounds like. We're building this together, clip by clip, story by story. From 100 to 10K to wherever this takes us, when we get there, we all show up. So until the next drop, stay loud, stay collective, and stay in it. This is ISVi, signing off.